Hi everyone, Tony from Hack the Movies here with Keith from Hack the Movies, and we just watched a new documentary. What was it called? Fuck, hold on. This is a new documentary. It's online now. You can probably get it on iTunes or their website. Although it kind of streams pretty crappy on their website. Just a heads up.
Yep. Make sure you don't do HD. I mean, well, you could have crappy Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it could be that. I don't know. Yeah, so we literally just got done watching it. And that was a really, really interesting film. Did you know anything of Superman Lives before you watched that? Like,
No,
have I talked about it before? I think I might have.
Just about the photo that everybody already knows about, and then you showed it to me, and I laughed, but and of course, we made our jokes every now and then. It's like, oh, Nicolas Cage being Superman, but
yeah. I've known about the film for a long time. Tim Burton used to talk about it in interviews. I remember reading interviews with him talking about it. And I've known the people on the film. I've seen them in other behind the scenes stuff, so I've recognized them. It was like this big thing in Hollywood. Oh, Kevin Smith has talked about it for years. His version of the script. And it was like this. It was like this big thing. You know, the Batman movies were blowing up at the time, and they were CGI was becoming big. So this movie was supposed to be like the next big thing. They got Nicolas Cage to be in it. And I think that's what really got things going, and then the movie just quietly disappeared. And we haven't seen anything from. We've only seen very few things from the film, which was the picture of Nicolas Cage looking stoned as shit.
Yeah.
And I remember I saw some of the. It's actually in the documentary, so now I know it was real. Some pictures of Doomsday where he looks. Is that his name, Doomsday?
Yeah.
Yeah, where he has like the predator mandibles. I always thought maybe that was fan art, but I just saw it in the video, so that turns out to be real. And the zombie Superman suit.
Yes.
So, this documentary, I forget the guy who made it. He looks like a goddamn hobbit or some shit. He looks like an oversized hobbit.
But, to his defense, he made a pretty good documentary.
Yeah, he looks exactly how you picture an older fanboy of, sci-fi to look. Good guy, though. Yeah, so this documentary finally answers a lot of questions. We're finally getting to see other people's points of views, because we've only really had Tim Burton briefly talking about it and Kevin Smith telling his story, which that was cool. He tells a story about John Peters.
And John Peters tells his version, and side by side.
And it's pretty different. You never saw the original John Peters thing. This is John Peters is crazy. He was one of the guys who produced the Burton Batman films. And this documentary is kind of about him.
It really is. He's really
He's
the guy who stole the show kind of deal.
Yeah, there was one point where they were talking about the artwork and stuff, and I felt like that was dragging a little bit. But I think that was just because I wanted them to get back to bitching about John Peters.
I feel like what you should do is if you're watching this, which I probably doubt anybody is, but if you are, Wikipedia John Peters.
John Peters.
And I want you to on that Wikipedia John Peters while listening to this, just to kind of get a vibe of who this guy is. He is psycho.
He was he mentions being a street fighter. And then he was a hairdresser for Barbra Streisand, and then became a producer.
And for fun, he would put his artists in headlocks.
Yeah.
Because he said something about wanting to get into fights and taste other people's blood.
Yeah. It was the best part of the goddamn documentary.
So I got into negotiation with the Salkinds and their lawyers because Warner Brothers had not picked up the option. They didn't know that. It was before computers. So they would have to send someone in a back room with a bing, going through all these things. It's not on the computer, would be normally red flagged. I got a call from Terry Semel, who was the head of Warner Brothers, and said, we want you to come back to the studio. And I said, I'm working on something now, which is really what I want to do. I had made Batman. And he said, what? And I said, I think I bought the rights to Superman. He said, you idiot. Warner Brothers owns it. I own it. I said, no, you don't. Check. Came back, and he said, you're right, you do.
He tells his version of the story, which differs from Kevin Smith. But then it starts to sound a lot like Kevin Smith's version, so it's just wow, so a lot of that crazy shit we've heard is actually true.
Yeah, it's...
The giant spider. Yeah, it was cool to see the movie, we learned about, all the different script changes that happened, Kevin Smith wrote this draft, which was ridiculous. I kind of like how Kevin Smith just knew what he was writing was stupid, but was just so excited to be writing it. And then the next two people knew nothing about Superman, and they turned it into something weird with Tim Burton.
Yeah, the only person who knew anything about Superman was probably Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
And even but he's still weird.
He knew about Superman, but he wanted to make his own Superman.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Although I did like seeing it. He seemed to even though he was doing some weird version of the character, he seemed to really care about it in those interviews.
I think he probably would have, like they said, an interesting job.
It would have been a very interesting movie.
I don't want to say bad because...
Well, I mean, like the Batman movies. I mean, I know I've shit on the Tim Burton Batman movies and I make fun of them because they're not really true to the character and they don't really hold up. But just viewing them as movies, they are weird. Like, to think that, like, maybe not so much the first one because that's kind of generic.
Yeah, that's very generic.
That was very generic 80s, which is a problem with that movie. But, like, the second one is just so fucking weird. You wonder, like, how did this thing get made? Like, why is the Penguin a weird Birdman? Why is Catwoman a zombie? So, like, it would have been cool to see a Superman version of that. Just an equally weird interpretation of this character that we would never forget. No one will ever forget Nicolas Cage as Superman. But I like that we finally got to see video of him in the suit, like behind the scenes stuff. And it seemed like he really cared about the character. I actually like his idea for Clark Kent just looking like an idiot.
Well, I mean, for the aspect of no one's going to think he's Superman.
Yeah, like, because that's a big issue. It's like, how can no one tell the difference? In the comics, comics found several loopholes. Like, I think in the comics, Clark Kent and Superman have been in the same room like a million times. Because he always has those, like, robot Supermen. So, in the comic universe, no one even questions it anymore. But yeah, it was cool seeing him. He's dressed... I think they put, like, a suit jacket on to try it out. But then, like, Tim Burton mentions how he likes how he's not matching. And then Nicolas Cage says, what if you wore a Mickey Mouse shirt? And then he's wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt. And he was just... Basically, Clark Kent was just going to be this weird fucking dude that no one wanted to talk to.
It was essentially as if Weird Al Yankovic became Superman. That's exactly what I would have compared it to.
And I liked his improv, like, when he pretended to talk to Lois Lane. And he's like, we're both up for the award. Who do you think's going to win? He's like, and clearly it would be Lois, because who the fuck would give me an award? So that was really cool. And I like that they found the exact moment that famous picture was taken.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty sweet.
And, like, the picture where Nicolas Cage looks stoned out of his mind, it's just, he was blinking. Like, he turned and blinked his head, and someone caught that moment. So that was really cool. And I liked all this stuff about the suits. Like, the process that the suits went through.
They were pretty neat.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty educational. I'm sure that happens in a lot of films, but that was really neat. It was like a legitimate suit.
Yeah, and it's cool to see, like, the suit that they finally would have landed. The movie he would have had a black suit, which we saw. But the, like, traditional Superman outfit, it was cool to, like, finally see what that would have looked like.
Yeah.
Which we found out in the documentary, the day they took the picture in the actual Superman suit was the day they found out the movie got the plug pulled. So that's kind of, like, really depressing. So overall, I think the documentary is really good. It's really interesting. Could have been filmed a little bit better for the Tim Burton stuff.
Yeah, that was...
I part of it, like the lighting, I'm thinking maybe Tim Burton's just weird. I don't know.
Well, he definitely is.
Tim Burton's house looks exactly how you would imagine Tim Burton's house. Like, it looks like if we were to write a comedy sketch about Tim Burton, it would look like that.
Nicolas Cage as Superman, what a weird choice. Or the same could be said for Michael Keaton.
But that, luckily, you're right, it was before the internet, but there definitely was, luckily it was here in England, but I know that I had heard there was a huge backlash to that just because they thought, it's going to be like a joke. Even back then, luckily enough, there wasn't the analysis that you get, because it's like, picking, apart the carcass before it's even dead yet,
No, that's true. That welcome to the internet. That's 5,000 people all have solid opinions.
Yeah. Die.
Yeah.
But really entertaining documentary. I would recommend it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
it's not long. It's only like an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's really not bad.
And John Peters, just learning about John Peters' weird spider obsession is fucking great.
Yeah, he's on.
One thing I want to mention, like, we realized, because we're, like, big DC fans, we realized, like, throughout, like, hearing about all the stories, like, how much all the other DC universes borrowed from this movie, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely at least worth looking into, because it's pretty coincidental at minimum.
Like, you think, like, maybe they mentioned in one of the scripts Lex Luthor and Brainiac combined.
Yeah.
Which was a big thing in Justice League.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's a coincidence. And, I have to look back. I don't know if Brainiac... Like, I know Brainiac always has, like, a skull ship now.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie's talking about the skull ship, and the way they were talking about it, like, it was an idea made up just for the movie.
Did it originate then?
Yeah, I wonder if it originated then. I would have to check. Well, we might be wrong, but I think maybe... Like, they're talking about Superman jumping first before he flies. And that was in Man of Steel.
Man of Steel.
And, like
the suit being passed down.
The suit being passed down was also Man of Steel. And I guess in the original Superman... Well, the Superman was like a blanket, the first movie. But, yeah, so, like, this movie, like, little seeds were planted for, like, future films. And I also like a lot of the Doomsday designs.
Yeah.
More so than the real Doomsday. I don't really care about Doomsday.
I mean, Doomsday's fine, but yeah, a Tim Burton Doomsday is a lot creepier.
I like the idea with the faces. It didn't really make sense, but it was a cool concept.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
It's like the Doomsday would be made of faces, and they would turn into the people Superman cared about, so he would feel awkward about punching them.
So if it was my face, how would you feel?
I punched the shit out of it, but that's a different story. I'm not Superman. Also, it kind of reminds me of Evil Dead 2, because Evil Dead 2, the monster had faces in his eyes, and it looked like the dead people.
I never saw it.
Oh. Don't do it. 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 Don't do it.
This is my boomstick.
Keith, if you had to make a batshit crazy Superman movie, how would your movie go?
I would only add one thing and one thing only. When Superman flies, rainbow and sparkles of a trail behind him. Nothing's more intimidating than that.
That would be your Superman, just
like,
constantly shooting rainbows.
But look at this face and just picture rainbows and sparkles.
Ooh. Yeah, that would be cool, Keith.
Yeah.
That would look really cool. That's it? That's all you would do for Superman? How would Lex Luthor be in your movie?
Well, there's one thing I definitely don't like. The Michael Cera being Lex Luthor thing's already weird.
That's not Michael Cera. That's Jesse Eisenberg.
Same person. Same person.
Yeah.
He has hair, and he's got a lot of it.
Yeah, there's been a few Lex Luthors with long hair.
Not okay.
What? Gene Hackman wore long-haired wigs in the first one. No, there was a time in the comics where Lex Luthor had really long red hair. He's usually shown as a young person having long hair until he went bald for whatever. There's a number of reasons.
Yeah, but it's not even well kept. It's real creepy.
Yeah, in the 90s, that's what his hair looked like. And Zack Snyder only wants to do the dumbest versions of things, so of course he picked the 90s Lex Luthor.
Zack Snyder, I'm always trying to defend you with him. Always.
You rarely succeed, but you always try.
Right now I can't.
Alright, so what would your Lex Luthor look like?
You know, kind of like a businessman, bald guy, very, very, Daredevil, Kingpin, just, not a big baby, looking like he always has to poop guy.
He always looks
but
like he has to poop.
that type of look, maybe a little bit thinner.
Yeah, I don't know what do I do with a Superman movie? I don't know. I keep shitting on Superman movies, except for the original one.
I don't think you can make a good Superman movie.
I think I can make a good Superman. I like Superman.
Yeah, you do like Superman, but...
I love Superman. I could do a good fucking Superman movie.
Alright.
Well, it's just... Alright, fine. Let's produce the Superman movie. Give me some guidelines I have to follow in my Superman movie. I'll see if I can make a good movie out of it.
Rule number 1. Rainbow sparkles and following the trail.
Okay, maybe... Alright, here. Maybe they're not so much rainbows. Maybe it's like kind of like what they did in Smallville. It was like a blur. Or no, does it have to be a rainbow?
No, it's gotta be a rainbow.
It's gotta be a rainbow.
It's gotta be a goddamn rainbow.
Alright, well, I want my Lex Luthor to just have a full head of hair.
Because it all of a sudden became Lex Luthor.
I want him to have a red afro. And I want him to be black with a red afro. I know that's not something that happens.
I want Lois Lane to be black.
I can be down with that.
Okay. Yeah. And I want Clark to have lesbian mothers.
Wait, on Krypton or on Earth?
No, on Earth.
Oh, so he's adopted by a lesbian family, and he still turns out okay. That's really modern, dude.
Right. Well, I mean, unless it's the Man of Steel one, he murders half the nation and kills the guy.
Okay, forget Man of Steel exists.
Oh, okay.
We're making our own Superman.
Oh, okay.
That's a good way to modernize Superman. He ends up with a lesbian farm.
I'm telling you, we got to make it 21st century. Gay marriage is finally legal.
Yeah. Superman, he ends up on Earth with Ma and Ma Kent.
And then maybe, you know what? And we'll even throw a real twist in.
Yeah.
He feels like he was supposed to be a woman.
Exactly.
Supergirl isn't actually his cousin. It's him.
Like, he has to come to terms with being this alien and being super and being human, and at the same time, fighting his gender with both of those characters. Like, his human side wants to be a woman, and his Kryptonian side wants to be a woman, and he's got to do... Oh, wow, that's a lot of conflict in this film.
And he's got... 1 second again. I would only be a woman had I not had this Kryptonian golden penis.
That's another conflict, because, like, how do you do surgery on Superman? You can't, modern medicine can't affect his skin. All the needles and stuff will break. Like, he's forever trapped in this male's body that he doesn't feel comfortable in, while also being trapped in a human body that he doesn't feel comfortable in. It's so much... God, we're writing a good fucking movie here. I guess at some point we should bring in a bad guy in a fight. But no, let's keep going with this. It's, you know what? He never even solves crimes or anything. It's just him in like a doctor's office going, "Why? How do we do this?" And then what was okay? So like Lex Luthor could be like a Westboro Baptist Church person.
Oh my god!
Because Lex Luthor
and then. Oh, God, what the heck's that guy's name who's on YouTube and always just picks on the West Baptist Church guys? Rick something? I don't know. There's some YouTube guy. So that's who Jimmy Olsen could be.
Oh, yeah. The Daily Planet should be like a social justice warrior blog.
Yeah, absolutely.
Social justice warrior blog that just like shits on and makes up stories about
You want
people.
a modern day Superman? We just gave you modern day Superman.
We just gave you like a lot of relatable conflict. And, yeah, because, you know, Lex Luthor, he's really xenophobic, and he's always been xenophobic where he hates...
I'm not really afraid of Xena, you know, the warrior princess, but, I mean, he obviously is.
Xenophobic. It means, like, you're afraid of, like, foreigners and stuff like that. That's how Lex Luthor's always kind of been.
There's no way that's accurate. It's definitely being afraid of Xena.
Okay. Well, anyway, Lex Luthor's always hated, like, foreigners, like aliens. That's kind of, like, what Lex Luthor's all about. You change that to someone who's afraid of, like, new ideas, like transgender awareness. We've updated Lex Luthor, man. We should just keep doing it.
You gave him hair? Oh, you got one up. Like, we could do one better.
Good job. You gave Lex Luthor hair. We changed his whole character around. But he would still be played by Kevin Spacey.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I'm okay with Kevin Spacey.
Yes.
Or Michael Cera.
Michael Cera. Who's not playing Lex Luthor. We should really mention that. He's not Lex Luthor. Oh, man. I like this Superman movie.
What was this video about again?
It was about a Superman movie that never got made.
Oh, you mean two Superman heroes that never got made.
What do we call this Superman movie?
Oh, Superman, The Battle Within.
Oh my god, that's a great title! Holy shit, dude. I think we, this could be, like, a really good, like, Elseworlds tale. Like, you know how they have, like, what-if stories in DC Comics? We should pitch this to DC.
Let's do it.
About transgender Superman with lesbian Earth mothers fighting bigot Lex Luthor and writing for a social justice warrior
and, you know,
blog.
And how he beats Lex?
How?
Xena Warrior.
He becomes a Xena Warrior?
No. Xena actually comes in and helps out.
So
because he's xenophobia.
So you're starting the Superman Xena Hercules expanded universe?
No, there's no fucking Hercules. You're getting outrageous now. Xena is Superman.
What if it's not Xena, but it's still Lucy Lawless, the actor who played Xena? She could be Lois Lane, even though she's really old, because, you know...
Well, that would go... I mean,
age ain't nothing but a number.
She did have to be black, so we had to put her in that black.
Oh, right. Yeah,
well, Lucy Lawless is close enough to black, right?
No, not even a little bit. Probably be Zoe Saldana, maybe, as Lois Lane.
Okay.
I'd go for that. I'd go for that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, this is a great Superman movie. So, Superman: The Battle Within, coming theaters 2030 or whenever they reboot Superman. So one day in the future, you're watching a movie where Superman has two lesbian mothers. You're going to be like, I know the guys who wrote that. They really understood Superman. Alright, so see the death of Superman Lives, what happened, and I hope you enjoyed the death of our Superman idea, which died the moment we started talking about it. So, yeah, goodbye.